there have been Democrats going back to 2004. I remember being like just inundated with stuff about how Bush stole the election in the Diebold with the rigged Diebold machines in Ohio. So I am wildly both sidesist on a lot of this stuff. I think that a lot of the problems that affect Fox affect cable news generally, including full disclosure, CNN, where I am at. I think even more so MSNBC. This blurring of opinion and reporting is a problem everywhere. Fan service to audiences is a problem everywhere. Um, there are all sorts of things, and there are all sorts of legitimate criticisms of Fox News prior to 2015 that I think have merit. But I think the thing that's getting lost in a lot of this is that basically you have this problem of a cold front and a hot front coming together, where you have the cold front of long-standing hatred of Fox News that predates Donald Trump coming in alongside the radical transformation of Fox News that was caused by Donald Trump. And these two things completely ruin visibility of the issue when they come together and form this storm, because the Fox changed with Donald Trump. And I can show you the DMs from Fox personalities, that has nothing to do with Dominion, but like just like people who passionately wanted to stop Donald Trump, thought Donald Trump would ruin the nation, ruin conservatism, ruin the Republican Party, who are now out there saying how glorious and wonderful Donald Trump is, and did so for 7 years. And Fox, I think the problem that Fox got into was it basically created a monster. It let its audience watch TV like it was some choose your own adventure video game. And the realities that the audience wanted were the realities that Fox, particularly on the opinion side, gave the audience. And then by the time you get to the 2020 stuff, you have these executives who are all but screaming, at least in these filings, we cannot offend this monster that we created, right? It's like the riding the tiger. You can't get off of it because it'll eat you. Like, and so these memos, and again, they could be they could have stuff out of context. Who knows what the brilliant lawyers, some of whom are married to my co-panelists here, will say in rebuttal. But if you just take it at good faith that they're not really distorting things, Susan Scott, who I think is to leadership what rice paper is to construction materials, she just cares about brand protection. And what they mean by brand protection is not upsetting the audience so much that they go off and find their crazy at OAN and Newsmax. That's the essence of this story. And you have Rupert Murdoch I said this on CNN yesterday, and I think it dropped like a lead balloon. There's this part of the testimony where Rupert Murdoch says, after they decided they were no longer going to have election deniers and conspiracy theorists on air, Rupert Murdoch says, well, we had to let Mike Lindell back on because he advertises with us a lot. And he says, this isn't a red or blue thing, it's a green thing. And what I said on CNN was like, and this was the moment where Rupert's lawyers took out their black tar heroin and started tying off their arms, because like he just said it out loud. I mean, you're not supposed to say that, right? And that's the kind of thing that will play well with the jury. And so I think that this is actually a problem for Dominion in a certain sense, because the real source of the lies and disinformation wasn't Fox. The real source of the lies and disinformation was Trump, and they were bending to Trump. And I think you can make that as a legal argument that, look, this is a lagging indicator, not a leading indicator. And the people who think the election was stolen don't think of it because they heard it from Mario Bartiromo and Sidney Powell. They believe it was stolen because they heard it from Donald Trump. But it gets to the utter corruption of the editorial leadership of Fox News, that they let Trump basically dictate their position. And the last thing I'll say is that Roger Ailes, who we all can agree was a flawed human being, this is one of the great understatements of Western civilization, would never have tolerated this stuff. He understood that the credibility of the news side is what gave the credibility of the opinion side power. And what happened under Susan Scott since his death, and since they made so much money, is that they got into a position where the news side, which still does honorable and good work, and I'll defend Brett Baer and Jackie Heinrich and some of the other people that Tucker and those guys tried to fire for telling the truth. I mean, which actually comes out in these texts. I think that those guys are left in this position where the tone, tempo, and focus of the network is driven entirely by the opinion side, and the news team is sort of like um, an internal think tank that just sort of, that the internal brain room is now the news division that gives some facts to paper over the opinion side, and the network should probably be called Fox Opinion, which has an adorable news division.